Béla, thank you again for being in New York and being here with us to talk about your work. I'll start with a few questions and then we'll open it up to the audience. I'm sure there are many questions out here as well. But I wanted to begin at the beginning in a way and follow up on what you began to talk about in your introduction, just by asking you to talk a little bit about where you were psychologically as an artist when you made this film. You had directed shorts, but The Family Nest also came before you officially enrolled in film school. So I'm just curious, how did you feel about your position in the film community when you made this? And I guess, how did you get to a place where you were able to make this your feature film?
First of all, you have to understand, I never wanted to be filmmaker. And really, and but I wanted to be philosopher, but I made a big mistake. When I was 16, I was a very strong leftist. Even, our country, Hungary, was called it communist country, but it wasn't a communist country. It was a fucked up feudalistic system, like now. And, it's really, and I was just 16 years old, and I just saw it. This is really horrible, and it's not human. And for me, the camera, I was a really strong leftist, and I was in high school, and I did not have school bag. I had only this Mao Zedong red book in my pocket, and I did not care about anything. I just had a feeling, we have to change this fucking society. And this is really, it was very strong feeling. And when I was 16, I shot, because I got a 8mm camera from my father, and I shot a kind of documentary about a gypsy workers group. They wrote a letter to the boss of the Communist Party when they wrote to him, we would like to please allow us to leave from this country because we cannot live here. And on the screen you can see how they are living, how they were working. They had a very hard physical job, and the sound, it was their letter, which it was horribly, the style, how the Russian mujik is writing to the Tsar, please, please, and my crime, it was very simple. I made it this, plus I was screening. I was 16 years old, I took the bus, one hand, right hand in the projector, left hand in the magnetophone, because the sound and the picture was divided. And then afterwards, of course, I got some attack, and they said to me, And I wanted to apply to the university, and they told me, you never, ever. You cannot be a student in this country. And I was 16. And then afterwards, I really applied because I believed they forgot when I was 18. But they had a good memory. And, you know, and afterwards, I did not have any other chance. I went for the ship factory, and I was worker. I had to do very hard physical work. Can you believe? I wasn't stronger than now. And if you got 20 kilograms, I don't know in pounds, heavy iron piece into your hand. And, you know, I could do it only for 2 years, and afterwards my back fucked up, and I tried to do something. Can you believe my anger for this system just growed up and up and up? Because they were hurting me personally. They were hurting the whole society, but I got personal shit. And I, of course, in the ship factory, I was together with some other workers, and that was my real university, to be with the people, to understand the people, and to understand I have a kind of responsibility, even if I was young, and I still had these 8mm cameras, and I was sure this 8mm camera is good as a tool, and I have to change to do something. I was a real anarchist, and I really wanted to acting. And once I went to this couple, I knew them, and I went to them because they were squatting in a small place, which it wasn't a real flat, it was just a hall, because they had their daughters. And of course the police came and threw it at them. But I went there with my fucking 8mm shit, and I wanted to shoot them. The police, how in, let's say, is it the communist society to taking out to the street a young family? And of course, the police started the whole action. They arrested me, and they took me to the police station, and they did not let me free until when the family wasn't on the street. And I was really shocked. And somehow, this is the reason, afterwards I decided, okay, if I cannot do this documentary, in this case I have to do fiction. And somehow we did not have money, but my cinematographer was working for the television, and he took a 60mm camera, and he stole some raw stock, and I knew a guy who could record the sound, and the cinematographer had a car and 2 lamps from home. That was all conditions, and we had 5 shooting days. 5. And I was 22, without any film education or knowledge or something. I just had emotions. And that's why I'm saying now for my young colleagues, fuck off. If you don't have money, you have a phone. You can shoot with your phone. You can editing on your computer, and you can sharing on the internet. What is the question? Really, no question. You have to be yourself. You have to be brave. That's all what I can say about this. Sorry it was too long, but you have to understand how this stuff born, and afterwards I was lucky because some people saw this movie from Germany, that's time from the Mannheim Film Festival, which it was for the beginners. Before me, it was some guys who won, like Tarkovsky, Fassbinder, Jim Jarmusch, and it was really, and they had a really very good nose for the future, and I won there the Grand Prix, and afterwards, let's say, I was somehow relatively safe.
I'd like to hear more about this, your experience on set, shooting this film in 5 days. If you can recall what it was like on day one, did you have any kind of outline? I know obviously you mentioned you knew the couple who formed the basis for this story, but what was your approach to working with actors at this point in your career? I mean, were you fairly confident with how you were directing them, or did you?
I understood only one thing. First of all, I did not have any script. We did not write any sentence for them. But I knew the main issue is the situation. The situation which has to be real, normal, and very human, and familiar for them. Simple, very simple. And then easy to do, because if you are creating a situation, they don't playing, they are just being. And of course, I never allow them to play. And this is what I was doing till end of my film director's stuff, just to find the situation and let them to be. And it's nothing more, really. But if you see, you can see longer takes than usual, except the first 20 minutes when we just wanted to show this chaos. But slowly became longer. When you see the two last monologues, what I was doing all my life, monologues, because I like them. And, you know, it's very hard. You can see a lot of things which is later growed up film by film. It's not, you cannot dividing the things. It was just one run.
Well, I guess I want to talk a little bit about the visual choices that you make in this film. I mean, if we think about Werkmeister harmonies, evidently your emphasis on close-ups. Obviously, there are many people in a very confined space in this film, so it does feel atypical for the film, the kinds of choices you would make later on. I'm just curious if this was just a result of being in this confined space of the apartment, or was there something guiding your formal interest here?
Just wanted to show how it's claustrophobical, this situation. When you turn to here, to there, all the time, somebody's face close to you. You cannot escape. No way out. It's just pushing you, pressing you. Everybody comes to you very close. And we don't have normal distance.
Was this apartment one of theirs? How did you settle in this location?
You know, it was a very proletarian district, and I knew the people there. And for example, this is not a real family. I choose them and I put them together. And one of the neighbor offered for us, we can use his flat for the shooting. That was all.
I'll just ask one more question, then we can open it up to the audience. But I guess jumping very far ahead, after announcing your retirement from filmmaking, you shifted towards teaching, and I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about that experience, if perhaps what you learned about filmmaking in that phase of your life, and if you reflect on your films a little differently after that experience.
First of all, after filmmaking, I decided I will try to do kind of producer's activity to help young filmmakers and protect them from the film industry. It is let's say I was a kind of anti-producer because I was spoiled them, but not, and I did not want to sell them for the market and for this capitalist system. But in Hungary, after 2010, when our half-fascist government appeared, I had to give up this position, and I left from the country, and I went to Sarajevo, and I opened a kind of film factory, which it was theoretically, no, practically, it was a part of a private university, and it was an international unorthodox film school when the people came from all corners of the world. They applied, and I was choosing them because I did not want to take some rich bourgeois guys and just for the nothing. And for me, if I really want to work with some young people, first of all, the school's slogan was very simple. No education, just liberation. Because I hate, and I wanted to close, I said yesterday, I wanted to close all film schools around the world. Because it's simple. They treated the people equally, and they wanted you to be the same how is the system. And every human being different. And our power is the differences. We have different cultural background, we have a different social background, we have a different religion, we have a different skin color, we have a lot of differences. And of course, we have to apply for those differences. And we have to make them brave to be themselves. And it was really working beautifully for 4 years. And now, and afterwards they kicked me out the university because it's a private university. They were asking me all the time, where is our benefit and what about the profit and something. And I said, sorry, I'm not for this here. And then they kicked me out and they closed the school. And afterwards, let's say, I'm a kind of, but first of all, yes, I quit from the filmmaking, but I did not quit from the creation. I made a big exhibition in Amsterdam, and I made a big show in Vienna, where it was partly motion picture, partly live music, partly installations, and it was a very, very interesting project. We were working with 250 homeless people, and it was a really big show. And the middle of Vienna, and which is really the most bourgeois town in Europe. And you know, this is, and I don't give up to do something, but I don't want to do any more feature film. And I'm preparing now an exhibition in Seoul and in Korea, and I'm thinking now, because I got an invitation from Barcelona to do some kind of installation there. You know, I'm not lazy. I'm just, and sometimes I have to go to the airport to come to somewhere like here or Los Angeles. You know, it is somehow, but swear to God, I did not change since 1977. No, it's not true, because I became older and I physically getting fucked up, but mentally I'm sure I'm still okay.
Yeah. And I can assure you no one thinks you're lazy. We can take some audience questions right now. We'll have mics going around, so if you can just hold on to your question until you get one. We can get one, right, that hand right there. Yep. Yep.
This was just incredibly exceptional experience. Of course, no wonder because it coming from you, but my stomach is still in knots from watching the film, partially because I grew up in a similar fucked up country. But I was wondering, there are so many layers, and as in my country, there was this saying, the law of falling shit. You know, the system is shitting on the apparatchiks, and they're shitting on the people, and those people are shitting on each other. But there is, you know, the oppression of people in the country, but then oppression of women, and then oppression of the Roma. And it's just absolutely remarkable hearing that you did not have a script. I was just wondering if from the get-go you felt like all these themes will appear in the film eventually. And just say, my name is Irén, so like really identifying with Irén is just too strong. Thank you.
I just say thank you, because I understand you, you understand me, and we don't have questions.
Yeah, sorry. She didn't have a question, so I thought she was over, sorry. But I want to thank you for freeing me as a recovering documentary filmmaker, among other things. I really appreciate your timelessness and the freedom that you have given us and given me to be just kind of suspended in motion or emotion. And I'm wondering, what does that timelessness feel like for you when you're doing this?
You know, I think yesterday I was talking how using the time and why is important, but the other hand is also very important. You know, this movie now is 46 years old. I'm sure very few people is older here now than 46. And I was all the time, I liked the cinema. And it was all the time bothering me when I saw something in a film which it was, let's say, when I see a car and then I see the time when they did it. Because each time, you know, they are changing the fashion of the cars, or let's say the publicities or a billboard or something like that. And I would prefer if we don't have any sign of our concrete time or concrete day or year, it means you can watch this movie, let's say 46 years later, without anything bothering you, and you can just focusing for the main issue, for the human connections and the human being. This kind of big set around us, it's temporary. And it's disappearing, let's say, 5 years. And nobody will remember. And when you are watching a movie with this kind of props, it is surely bothering you, and you cannot listening for the main issue. That's why I decided let's do it movie without the time. And of course, I'm involving the time as a kind of dimension of the human being or the life. Because our life is happening in the space and in the time. Of course, the filmmakers are ignoring this. They are just action cut. I'm sorry for them for this.
Right here, in the red.
I'd like to ask about your acting in Season of Monsters and about Miklos Janšo more broadly.
Do you know who was Miklos Janšo? He was a legendary filmmaker who made his... He was one of the men from this big generation, you know, Antonioni, Fellini, Godard, Truffaut, and this kind of 60s. But I have to tell you, I was living with him in the same town, but we were a little bit very far from each other. I became with friend only in his last 5 years. And then we had closed friendship, but we were friends as a human being because his way of the, you know, he was just all the time thinking about the political structures, and he made it choreographies, and I was more interesting about the details and the psychological relationships. And as you saw now, you know, it's a different generation, different point of view, and of course, different film language too.
Yes, right here. Yep.
Oh, hi. Thank you for the film. I really like it. But there's a very annoying character in the film, the father character. So I was wondering that if that character is more like metaphoric, or like, is there any backstory, or it's based on someone you know? Because you said your intention is make a documentary about the couple. So the father is not there at the beginning, but there's this person with very strong personality. So I wonder, why do you make him like that? Thank you.
You asking about the father figure? Yeah.
The father, it was a very nice guy. Swear to God. And he was, let's say, the first time, of course, everything which it was a kind of shit, it was a, of course, he was he, but he was covering his dark side in a very nice way. And as I told you, I did it before the shooting. I did it a kind of video castings, and I just wanted to see them, how they react for each other, and slowly composed this fake family because of the logic of this feudalistic system, what we can call it family, especially in Europe, you know, father, mother, kid, and this is a kind of hierarchy what we, of course, normally nobody can accept. But if I want, he was just nice and he was smiling, but when I said to him, this is the situation, you have to kick out her, he did it perfectly. But he wasn't the real father of this family.
We're short on time, so we can take one more question. Way in the back. Yep. Yep.
First, I'd just like to say that I've been watching your films for quite some time, and I just wanted to thank you for helping me find godliness in the mundane. I've been making films for roughly 5 years, and with each film, the films get bigger and bigger. And as they get bigger, there are more people around you, more quote-unquote producers, giving you notes, giving you feedback. And my question is really, how does a filmmaker sift through criticism from producers, and how much should a filmmaker listen to their gut? What's the balance between the instinct and the more, so to speak, collaborative part, where you have all these people telling you, do it like this, do it like that, change this line, change that?
What? What a question is this? First of all, you have to understand, I never had such an unintelligent producer who wants to say something to me. I was really lucky because I met very clever guys. All my producers let me absolutely free. They did not come to the set. They did not, first of all, I never had real script. We had just some text for the banks, for the foundations. And my producers, they just trust me. They never come to the set, they never say anything, because you know, if you are a producer, as I have been, and I was, I know only one thing. If I want the best from this guy, from the director, I let him free. Because in this case, the director can flowering. If I go there as a producer and I tell them this or this or this, in this case, I fuck up the whole production. Really, it's just, you know, just very primitive system is when they want to terrorize the director instead of liberating. My experience, it was all the time. First of all, at the beginning, I did not have any producer, and of course, and when I really need producer, it was for the Shatan Tango. But it was a 7.5 hours long movie, and I had a very good German one, and I had an excellent Swiss one. How? And you know, I met with him first time for this production. And can you believe I did it for them 7.5 hours long. Craziness. And then they were happy. This is something, you know, the film industry full of big head guys with big belly, and they believe the money has power. You know, when we were coming to here, and we saw it, this big, big car, hard to get in. And I was just thinking what in my country, the girls are saying. If your dick is small, you have a big car. And this is about the producers too.
I think that's a okay note to end on. Béla, thank you so much for talking about this film.
I would like to say big thanks for your coming and being together. And I will leave tomorrow from the town. That's all, and I hope we will see each other once more.